I feel like the city did a terrible job of just appreciating us. Instead, they just tried to divide us.
For sure.
That you have to confess that Lord is Lord, and then you got to believe in your heart that He died for you, and then you will be saved. They wait till they get to a certain status. They say, all right, now it's time to get married. You got to understand that when it's time for you, when you think you want to get married, the goalposts have moved it. I've seen so many players get to that next level and just they wasn't coachable.
Welcome to the 6th episode of the Good Enough 2 podcast, where I like to meet with influential guests and positive leaders within the community. Today we have a special guest, my former teammate, Jagger Anderson. So Jagger is a business professional, personal training consultant, and he is working on a marriage series podcast with his wife right now, which is a marriage thing that they have where they talk about topics and different relationship advice. So Jagger, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
For sure. I'm the host, Herman, and even though I ask questions, today's gonna be a little bit different. Jagger's gonna ask me some questions. We're gonna bounce off each other back and forth and just touch some topics that that we can relate to and that others may be able to relate to, and hopefully get some answers that people would like to hear. So I guess the first question that I can ask is related to the Bible and how do the scriptures help ignite like change within a person?
Scriptures can ignite change with a person. I would say it starts in Romans 10:9, where the scriptures say that you have to confess that Lord is Lord, and then you got to believe in your heart that He died for you, and then you will be saved. So I think it starts right there. With just honesty, it starts with you confessing, and then there's so many other steps in God in the Bible that can help you out. Scriptures are one thing, but to live according to how God wants you to live is a different thing. So I'll say it's just steps to everything, but the scriptures definitely can help you along the way. So I would say equip you more up on your journey.
For sure. I mean, obviously I grew up in the church. My grandma was a pastor, and my dad always had us in there. Like, if you spend the night on Saturday night, like, you always had to go to church on Sunday. So if you spent the night at my house on Saturday night, you had to go to church on that Sunday.
Yeah, bring some clothes too. That's how it was. Make sure you got some church clothes with you too. So yeah.
Yes, sir. The next topic we could talk about finances. What does it mean to lead a family financially?
I'm gonna say that it starts with the man. Obviously, I say you got to have a relationship with God. Once you got a relationship with God, then He will allow you to provide for your family. And I say what financial leading for your family truly mean is that you in great standing with God, and God will allow you to provide for your family whatever they need or want. Finance is actually what me and my wife is going to talk about next on episode 6. We're going to talk about finances and marriage to help everybody out. And I mean, how do you feel about this? Do you feel like the ultimate goal is to get to marriage in life, or you just think it's kind of just on people's like? Do you feel like people their goal is to get married, or you think like it is to just check off a box?
I guess it depends on the person, For me, of course, and for my partner, I would hope that it's not to check off a box, but it's more to, truly display the love and affection that you have for not only that person, but just life in general. Like, this is how you want to live your life every single day. So I feel like for the examples I have in my life, even the people that I've seen, even get divorced or go through just troubles in relationship, I've been able to see the successful ones, of course, too, but I've always seen people that kind of, they put their heart into it, but, every relationship isn't like that, so you have to kind of build trust and build faith and build, like, confidence in the other person, kind of see their work ethic day to day to really believe that you can do it with a real, like, foundation. So I would say, you got to really want it.
Okay, all right. So we hope all the viewers out here actually know what they want in life and just don't, look at marriage as like pressure or as it's something that people think they're supposed to be doing. Just like make sure you have a purpose with it.
I mean, definitely, women and some men, but more so women can have like a checklist, like, oh, I want to reach a certain goal by this point when it comes to having a wife or a husband and kids or blah blah blah. But we know that, like, especially when things are on God's timing, you got to trust it and trust who it's with. So you can't just go into it thinking, all right, I want to get married by 29. So at 28, whoever I start dating, I'm gonna marry. Like it can't be like that.
Man, I'm glad you said that because that's what a lot of people do. They wait until they get their masters. They wait until they get the job. They wait till they get to a certain status. They say, all right, now it's time to get married. You got to understand that when it's time for you, when you think you want to get married, the goalposts have moved in.
Oh, for sure.
So it's just like, even when we get talking about finances and housing and all stuff like that, that's what we're going to dive into more. But it's just like, your timing, like Herman said, it's not with God's timing. So when God tell you to do something, you're like, nah, but I ain't ready. You're going to have to obey him and do it.
So, yeah. I mean, kind of leads into one of the topics on finances, things that you need to take care of before you kind of have a person. But even if you do have a person, you can still work on it. So let's talk about like credit. And do you have any advice on how people can build credit?
Yeah. The advice I would give people is don't run to a credit card first. There's a whole lot of things that you can do beforehand. You just kind of want to build your portfolio and know what path you want to go down.
Right.
I say a really helpful one is just self. It's just like a self-starter, just self. Just go ahead and pay into account that you can visually can withdraw and get all that money back. So just start there. I know a lot of people, they start with a credit card. Do not start there. And then you got to know what path you want to go down, whether it's a car, whether it's a house, whether it's a small business.
Yeah.
And then you got to branch off into the different routes that you want to go. But I say definitely start off there, just kind of building your portfolio first.
Yeah, you got to show that you can maintain a balance first before you try to
get a balance. Yeah, there you go.
Because you don't want to play from behind. It's kind of like sports, you know. You don't want to play from behind and have a deficit. Always try to keep up.
All right. No, I like that. And I mean, that's how I say that's how you truly grow. You start off small, you just continue to work. And a lot of people, they like to come in and say, I'm worth $20,000, $50,000.
Right.
And let's say you wind up getting that $10,000. More than likely, you're going to wind up defaulting on that or not paying that or not seeing that all the way through. So just kind of start small and go from there.
For sure. And I mean, with starting small, going to a place that kind of, you can do that in this next topic, or you can kind of go big at the top end, and that kind of puts people in the hole as well because it's a long-term type of purchase. But what would you say about buying a home?
Man, buying a home is like it's like you don't know what you know until you know it. As you get into the home buying process, and so many things that you do, you know nothing about. It's like you got HOA, you got I'm talking about, first of all, if anybody out there listening, enable for you to, I would say, to sell your home, there's so much stuff you have to do first just to sell it. So like, I don't know if you're a first time home
appraisals.
That's what I'm saying. You gotta make sure, one, that you taking care of the house that you currently got. You gotta make sure you keeping that clean. You gotta make sure that you're making updates. I say every year or so. So first, like, let's say you got a home, you gotta make sure that home is sellable. And if you're a first time home buyer, there's so much stuff that you have to do to build your home buying portfolio so they can honestly accept your offer.
Yeah.
Because it's just like a job.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, who is the best applicant? Who is the best one to get the job, to get the house? Because you might thinking, hey, I got approved for $200,000, but somebody else got $200,000 in cash. So you want to make sure that you're the best person for the job when it definitely come to the home buying process, and it's very, very competitive.
For sure, yeah. Let's jump over to a different topic. Let's talk about sports.
Oh man, I got so many questions about sports.
So we've played multiple sports growing up, and we've had a myriad, different type of number of coaches. So let's talk about black and white coaches, because not as far as a thing of a race thing, but as far as a culture thing, especially in the game of basketball. Did you find a difference with having a black coach and a white coach?
Yes. No, just one.
Or did you see some similarities in having a black and white coach?
I'm gonna speak to who I am and who I am first, and then dive into the coaches. I'm a player who was coachable, which means that you can go to any different program. You go to any different place, and I'm gonna do what the coach says. So
Right.
it didn't matter if it was black or white. It's just like if you put me, let's say I had to go play for a team down south or whatever the case may be, I'm gonna do what I have to do. But now getting to your question, was it a difference? Yes, it was.
Right.
I would say that black was more so like I'm gonna say a little bit more strict. I'm gonna just say I don't know why, and I'm gonna say playing with a white coach, it was just kind of like they had.
It's a structured business,
Okay,
but
that's
it
what
wasn't like I'm on you, like
it wasn't
on you every day,
right? Like compared to a black coach, it was like, hey, you need to, it was definitely like you said, he was like on top of me more compared to a white coach that was just like definitely up on the structure.
I would agree. Like I had white head coaches in college and at the pros, and it's definitely more like a silent, like I expect you to do certain things. Whereas with the black coaches like Coach T, of course, he's definitely gonna be more vocal. Like no, he gonna tell you I expect you to do X, Y, and Z, and coming up with our culture and like certain backgrounds that our teammates have, like you need that, like that's needed on our teams. And I guess more so by college, where we see in different white, like more white people in charge, it's like it's more expected. You got to this point already, so we know you have a certain foundation.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, go.
No, I was just thinking. So, what do you think? That makes a difference on the execution, or did you see your teammates maybe kind of respond to that differently?
That's a good question. As far as execution, I'm gonna be honest, it was ran better with, I would say, a white coach. Black coach, it just kind of, not knocking anybody like that, but I can say the execution was a lot crisp compared to like playing like with a black coach. I'm just saying it was.
That could do with the level as well.
It dealt with the level and the players, if I'm being honest. The players kind of played that. Everything had nothing to do with the coach, but it was definitely the players. Yeah, that's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah, we can just say like it does. There is a difference when you have somebody that looks like you in charge. It does give you a different comfort, but then like you said, you have to know are you coachable? It doesn't matter who's in charge. You have to execute.
And I'm gonna branch off to a different topic. Like there's so many players, we know names that came out of Springfield, I will say, that wasn't coachable or wasn't disciplined enough to make it at the next level, no matter what color the skin that the coach was. It's like if you got a white coach at the next level, I've seen so many players get to that next level and just they wasn't coachable. So for young players growing up, you got to understand that you can't really pick your coach, technically speaking. You just got to always be coachable at all times, honestly.
Yeah, and this is a topic that like I was just sitting here thinking, like when you want to make it to college, you have to think about these things, because for like I train a lot of young ladies, if they get to college and it's their first time having a male coach, or it's their first time having a woman that's a coach, like that does make a difference on how you interact in a locker room, how you interact off the court, how you're seen in the public. So so it's good to speak about topics that real life that can help some of the athletes I train.
Yeah,
for sure.
Not like that.
And let's talk about city tournament. Do you have any memories or any thoughts of how people, maybe had expectations of you or I or the team, or just any funny stories that you may have had from this?
Let me just start off with a funny story. I think it was like my sophomore or junior year. I don't remember. I was at city tournaments and I think you threw me a pass. Long story short, I jumped up and I was airborne. I threw it back to you and I came down up on my tailbone. And I think I bruised or fractured like my tailbone, but nobody ever knew. But yeah, I'll say it was a funny story because they were like, oh, and long story short, I was out for like a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a funny story that I just pretty much landed up on my butt in front of thousands of people. So yeah.
I think I remember that for sure.
I think city within itself is very competitive.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to just say a lot of people have small mindsets when it comes to city.
For sure.
They win city and they think they won state. And it's just like, yo, it was just a little 3-day tournament with schools you've been facing, just on a bigger arena. Continue to move on, make it in regionals, make it in sectionals, and hopefully you make it down to state. But I seen so many people stop playing at the cities. Like they got that city tournament. It was
For
like
sure.
they won a ring, and it's just like you got the trophy for a couple of days, but you gonna have to give it right back to the
Yeah.
spirit of what I'm
Yeah. Whoever
saying.
win for next year.
BOS, right? You gotta turn that thing right back in. Y'all gonna keep doing the same thing. So I just feel like people mindsets was small on it.
Yeah.
That's my intake on it, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes into the rivalries of
Yeah.
Springfield and what people may have perspectives on. Hey, y'all supposed to get out there and really kill them and do whatever on the court,
Right.
but not knowing these are people we grew up
Mm.
playing with, going to schools with at middle school. So like, of course we want to beat them
Mm.
and do all that, but I mean, if people are betting money on all that, they ain't got nothing to
Yeah.
do with us.
Right. No, and I'm actually gonna ask you a question that did you ever feel like at one point, because I feel like the city did a terrible job of just appreciating us. Instead, they just tried to divide us.
For sure.
So like, did you ever feel at one point that you was better, or it was like pressure on you to be better than me?
I mean, I always felt like I came from a different perspective,
Right.
playing multiple sports. I really didn't know which one I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I always tried to place myself in a position to kind of assist. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? To facilitate,
Yeah.
I remember a lot of times I would get the rebound, outlet to you, and then you would either score or you would throw it to somebody
Right.
else or then throw it back or throw it to Jay or Luke,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? BJ.
Yeah.
So D-Lo. So like I always felt like, we was trying to sharpen each other to
That
make
was
each other better,
it.
for
That's
sure. We
it.
get into the
It
gym
was
over the summer together, all kind of stuff.
it was just iron sharpening iron, and then so
Yeah.
many times the city just try to say, oh well, somebody had more points, and I'm just like, that's instead of just like appreciate the greatness and bond that we still have off
Yeah.
the court. Some people took it as, well, Herman had more points, Jagger had more points. Like it didn't matter. Like we
Right.
still bros. Like so, none of that stuff mattered when people was comparing us.
No, and what matters the most is, we went on, got our degrees, multiple
Yeah.
degrees,
Yeah.
and are building our families and
Yeah.
trying to be positive and leaders in the community. So
Yeah.
yeah, like I feel like we had that vision from a young age, and
Mhm.
like you said, maybe people were small minded thinking, oh, you supposed to outscore him or you supposed to
Yeah.
outscore me or whatever. Where
It,
we never saw it. We just trying to get the dub, and people honestly, if you look at it, if there was a stat, we probably statted, I probably had a lot of assists on your points, and you probably had a lot of assists on my points.
Right, and the whole goal was, like you said, just to make it in life. Like some people like, oh, where he going to college? It don't matter as long as you finish.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people that's like, oh, you going here? Okay, as long as you finish and see that thing through, that's the only thing that really matters. So yeah, thank you for touching on all that. And
sure.
yeah, all right.
Is there anything that you wanted to talk about with your marriage series or anything that you had going on?
I just touched on briefly why we're doing the marriage series. It was because when we got married, man, I'm talking about, we was like, okay, we married, we love each other. We want to put God first. What's the next step?
Yeah.
And we really went to so many marriage couples who was married for 30 years and they was all getting divorced. So we went to two, and God said on the third one, don't go to them, come to me.
For sure.
So he said, if y'all lock in up on me, I guarantee that I will kind of make you the spokesman for marriage. And not only that, I will give you answers, and I will give, you can also have other people answers as well. So you can lead them and guide them in marriage too.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a year. I say, me and my wife, we talk about this from time to time. It was like a year or two where we just had to stay in and just kind of, it was like Bible study. It was just like coming home and just getting the Bible, praying. So that's the reason why we started the marriage series, because we locked into God and he gave us all the answers.
All right.
So yeah. So that's just something that I want to tell people about. Yeah.
All right. So they can check you out on your series.
Yeah. 6 is finances. We're going to teach y'all how to unlock some kingdom finances up in your marriage, so you can be living in the overflow. I am grateful of everything that I have now. Herman been out to my crib and all that stuff like that, and we want the same for y'all. So if you watching, we want the same for you. We want you to have you a nice car, houses, whatever you want within your marriage. We want the same for you.
For sure. Receive those blessings. All right. At the end of every episode, I have the guest look at the camera and say that their name and that they are good enough too. So Jagger, it's your turn.
My name is Jagger Anderson, and I am good enough too. Signing out.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.